The TG-7 is known as a superb macro camera thanks to its close focusing capabilities overall, and particularly the microscope mode. The final piece of the puzzle is a good ultra-wide angle option, and my favorite wide angle option by far is the FCON-T02 Fisheye Conversion Lens. Now, most underwater wide-angle options for compact cameras attach to the outside of the housing. We call them wet lenses for this reason. While the FCON-T02 is waterproof on its own, it is not a wet lens. To shoot it at depths beyond 65 feet or 20 meters, you'll need to have a housing with a dry dome port. So let's talk about the difference between wet lenses and dry domes. Wet lenses are designed to have water between the front of a flat port and the back of a lens, but it's really easy to get these tiny bubbles trapped in there, which will ruin your photos and video. A wet lens needs to be removed underwater to fill the gap with water and flush out any of the trapped bubbles. And I always have a little anxiety when I remove a wet lens underwater. Like I'm thinking I'm going to fumble it slightly and the lens is going to drop away like an anchor. But there's no such panic with the FCON lens and dome in place. Since the FCON dome is a dry fit to the housing before you get in the water, there's no need to burp the lens. You just chase the bubbles away from the front of the dome with a quick sweep of your hand and you're ready to dive. Once you're underwater, you can really appreciate the ease of handling a housing with the FCON lens inside. The housing is nearly neutral and well balanced. If you've shot with an external wet lens before, you know that they make a system really front heavy, which is annoying when you're trying to set up a shot and it can wear on you after a couple of dives. Have you ever heard of tennis elbow? What about wet lens wrist? But like I say, the buoyancy of the FCON is balanced, so you won't have that problem when shooting the housing with a dome port. The wide field of view with the FCON in place is incredible as it goes up to a full 180 degrees. It's significantly wider than any wide-angle lens on the market. The concept of the fisheye lens was designed to be as a fish sees, and it lends itself to a more natural representation of underwater scenes. The fisheye lens is ideal for shooting large reefscapes, close focus wide angle, wrecks, and big animals. Now, I'm not going to choose the FCON-T02 with dome port to shoot like pygmy seahorses or mating mandarin fish, but it's really satisfying in its ability to zoom in to shoot smaller subjects at roughly the equivalent of a 30mm macro lens. Now, I'm particularly drawn to wide-angle photos, which give context to the scene, and I think they're more relatable to most viewers, particularly non-divers. And I think the king of wide-angle photography is the split shot. Half in, half out of the water, marrying traditional landscape with the underwater seascape. And this holy grail of shots tends to be incredibly difficult to capture with the TG-7 and most compact digital cameras, which are traditionally shot exclusively behind flat ports. It's virtually impossible to shoot a split shot with a flat port, and next to impossible to shoot one with a wet lens. The FCON lens makes it simple. And even if you're not using the FCON attached to the camera, shooting the camera behind the FCON dome now makes it possible to shoot splits with the camera's native lens. So, performance is my #1 criteria when choosing the best wide-angle solution, and the FCON puts a big check mark in that box. But there are other things that I love about it. It's lighter than an external wet lens, which helps me stay within my tight luggage allowances. It also does double duty as a lens I can shoot on the surface for stunning vistas. And I can shoot it when snorkeling without a housing because, like the camera, it's independently waterproof. The FCON requires you to replace the flat port on your housing with a dome port, but the dome port doesn't limit you to only shooting with this accessory lens. Without the lens attached, you're shooting the full equivalent zoom range of 25 to 100 millimeters. So here's the conclusion on the FCON-T02 lens. Compared to a wide-angle wet lens, it has so many advantages. It's wider, it's lighter, you don't have to burp it underwater. It's neutrally buoyant. It's the only option that lets you shoot split shots. You can use it on the land, you can use it without a housing, and you can use the camera behind the FCON dome port without the lens attached. This makes it the most versatile wide-angle option for TG-7 and TG-6 cameras. If you want to shoot the FCON lens, and I think you do, you'll have to pick up the Ikelite housing, as it's the only housing that allows the flat port to be replaced with a dry dome port. You can buy the housing either with a dome port or with a flat port attached, and each port can be purchased separately if you want to switch back and forth between them. If you're already shooting the FCON lens, check out our recommended camera settings and also send us some of your shots. We would love to feature you on the Ikelite website. Thanks for joining me, and happy shooting.